Hello, folks. Today I'm going to talk about there's a lot of snakes in boxing. So I'm going to give my opinion about certain things in boxing that needs fixing. When you start boxing and you're a very good fighter, you usually have a promoter. How legit is this promoter when it comes to you getting paid? When you sign an agreement with a promoter, which is a contract, how legit is the paperwork that the promoter is returning to you in regards to your salary? In other words, if you do a pay-per-view fight, are you getting the right money that you're entitled? And a lot of these promoters are not truthful. They usually lies, or they go around the question that you're asking them. It's a pay-per-view fight, you're supposed to get a certain amount of money, and you feel you got cheated, then you need a lawyer to audit all that paperwork, all that information. Needs to audit the pay-per-view companies, the sponsor in the fight, because you have to make sure that you're getting the right salary. So a lot of these promoters are not legit. They're like snakes. They pay you a certain amount of money, and on top of it, they're taking more money from you. I'm not saying they're all crooks, but a lot of them are crooks. And since the old days, when they first started boxing in the 1800s, up to now, 100 and something years later, guess what? A lot of these promoters are robbing you. They're taking money from you. They add in the agreement and the contract and the expense that they put out, they add in more than what should be there. That's why you needed a good lawyer to audit all this stuff, all this information, to make sure that you're getting paid the money you're supposed to get paid. If you're a boxer and you're making $6 million, guess what? You got to pay the promoter his fee. You got to pay your lawyer. You got to pay a manager. You got to pay a good trainer, cornerman. You also got to pay a cut man. You also got to, if you probably need a nutritionist, and you probably need a personal trainer. So that's why a lot of times these fighters are asking for a lot of money, because they're not taking home a lot of money. If you're making $6 million, guess what? You're gonna probably pocket $2.5 million after you pay all these expenses. A fighter also has to pay for camps. Got to pay for sparring partners, location, food for these sparring partners. It costs money to be a fighter. That's why these fighters are asking for a lot of money, because they're not taking home a lot of money, and they still got to pay taxes on all that. So if he's making $6 million, guess what? He's probably taking $2.5 million. $2.5 million to $2.8 million from $6 million after all the expenses and the taxes. So that's why there's a lot of greed in boxing. How important it is to have the right people behind you. You need a good promoter, or you should get somebody else, a family member, and promote yourself. Or you could promote yourself. And that's a fee you don't have to pay. But you're going to have to work to get that fight. Good fight. You need a good trainer and a good cornerman. A good cut man. If you get cut, you need somebody to stop that bleeding, or you're going to lose the fight. You need a good cornerman that has your back. It's going to make sure that if you're getting hurt, he's going to stop the fight. Without a good cornerman, your career is not going to advance. You need a good cornerman to protect you. And then also, you need a good lawyer. Your lawyer has to do what he has to do and be a lawyer. Your manager, the same thing. He has to manage you. That's another fee that you could cut out and put a family member as a manager. So that's two fees you could take out: a promoter and a manager. And then you need a nutritionist, and then you need a personal trainer to stay in shape. All that's important. Putting the pieces together for you to have a good career. And then you got a lot of people in your camp. Are you paying all these people in your camp? A lot of times there's a lot of people hanging around in your camp and they shouldn't be there. It's more of a hinder. Remove these people from your camp. Keep a certain amount of people that's going to have your back. All that's important in your career. When you start boxing at the age of 8 until the age of 18 years old, when you turn pro, you already had about 200, 300 amateur fights. You're going through the motion. You're learning. You're learning as time goes by. Usually when you start boxing at the age of 8, you have your father taking you to the gym, training you, pushing you, putting you in these little small amateur fights where you're not going to get hurt. You're just going through the motion until you're ready to get to another level to fight as an amateur. And then they start building up your amateur career. All that's important in your boxing career, to have the right people behind you and not have a lot of snakes that wants your money. On top of that, after you put up a good fight and everybody got paid and you got your, let's say, $2.5 million, you go home, there's people at your house waiting for you because they want to hand out. Your boxing career is very important. It has to be in order, in the right order for you to succeed. And you have to get the most money as possible. Get rid of all these people that's hanging around camp. It's going to hinder you. It's going to cost you money. I remember years ago, Tommy Hearns will have a big fight in Las Vegas. And Tommy Hearns will bring 200 people to the fight. And guess who was paying for that? Tommy Hearns. That was costing him millions of dollars to put 200 people in these hotels, to feed them, for the travel expense going to the fights back home. And there's boxers that do that. And that don't make no sense whatsoever. You're fighting to make money, not fighting to give it away to people just hanging around. It just doesn't make sense. So there's a lot of greed in boxing. And it starts with you being in charge of your life, being in charge of your boxing life. Having the right promoter, and if that promoter is not going to work out for you, get rid of that promoter. You become your own promoter. Having the right lawyer behind you that's going to look after you. Having the right manager. If this manager is not going to look out for you, put a family member as a manager and let them get the fee. And you get the fee as a promoter. Having a good nutritionist, a good personal trainer, a good cut man, a good trainer. If the trainer's not good, get rid of him. Get a good trainer. But I also believe that you should, as a boxer, you shouldn't be jumping around with different trainers to get ideas, because it's not going to work out. A lot of these top fighters did it, like Oscar De La Hoya, Mike Tyson did it. Lennox Lewis jumped from his trainer. He went to Emmanuel Stewart. He was a success, but the rest of them wasn't. There's a lot of boxers that change trainers. You got to hook up with a good trainer. And a lot of times, family members is training them, and they doing a good job, but they leave their family member as a trainer and they go somewhere else, and it doesn't work out. So if you got a good trainer, stick with him. There's a lot of bad in boxing that has to be fixed. Get rid of all the negative in your camp. Have the right people. Protect yourself all the time. Your boxing career is probably about 15 years. And you're doing it to make the most money as possible. But you could have a good life. After your boxing career is done, there's no more money coming in like that. Unless you're a superstar and you're doing commercials and you got other ways to make money. But the majority of these fighters, they don't have other ways to make money. If they don't invest their money right, guess what? They're going to become trainers for the younger generations. And they're going to have to go through all that nonsense as a trainer. So there's a lot of greed in boxing. Everybody wants your money. Everybody's going to praise you. Everybody's going to lie to you. They're going to call you the greatest when you're not the greatest. It's all about money. There's a lot of greed in boxing. As a boxer, you have to take care of yourself. I hope you like this video. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.